Told you in the last hour we discussed the bill that was filed by State Representative David Simpson yesterday, House Bill 2165, that would amount to a repeal of marijuana prohibition in the state of Texas. And joining us to talk about this bill and his thoughts on marijuana in the state of Texas is State Representative David Simpson. Representative Simpson, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Chad. Thank you for having me. I was born in Lubbock and a native there, and glad to join you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. You are a conservative Republican filing a bill that probably has some other conservative Republicans looking at you like, well, what are you thinking right now? What have you heard from some of your other colleagues and the others down in Austin who have heard about this bill?
Well, the main people that I represent have been very supportive. Certainly a few have been concerned, but I've got overall good support. The present war on drug policies have completely failed. And so, God made marijuana. He didn't make a mistake when he made it. And I think it, like all things he made, should never be abused, and people should be responsible for their actions. But we shouldn't ban a plant that God made. We should use hemp for rope and for fiber and paper. We should use the marijuana with the THC in it to help people with epilepsy. I've got people in the district that I serve that have, one of them has a daughter that they've taken to MD Anderson, Mayo's, Cleveland Clinic, taken all the pharmaceutical drugs, and has not been able to help but only harm their daughter, who has 15 to 20 seizures a day. They, in desperation, went to Colorado. She went 2 weeks without any seizures. Now, not everybody has that luxury. They're very wealthy, and they can afford that. There's a 31-year-old that took a vaccine that killed everybody else in the lot, but caused him lots of problems, but his parents have lovingly cared for him. He's 31 years old now, receives food through a tube, but he has seizures all the time. They can't take him to Colorado, and they would be a felon if they brought the CBD oil back here. But I don't believe we need a big government solution to this problem. We don't need registries or more bureaucracy. We just need to hold people accountable for their actions. And, if you eat too much and are sleepy and become fatigued on the road, you should be held accountable for falling asleep at the wheel and harming someone. You didn't intend it, but you still should be held accountable. But we don't ban food.
Right.
So anyway,
well, let me ask you this: under your bill that you filed, and if you could have it your way, what would you like to see? Would recreational marijuana use be available? Would this be for medicinal purposes? Would it be, hey, whatever you do inside your own home, that's your business as long as you're not infringing on anybody else? What is your ideal legislation?
Well, there are lots of things in life that you can abuse, but I don't want the government regulating it or coming in. Under the new covenant, if you look at Romans 13, the role of the civil magistrate is to control or to punish when you have harmed your neighbor. And I don't want the civil magistrate telling me how to worship and when to worship, and dealing with my relationship with God, or even coming into my home and telling me how or to do this or that. And but yes, you can abuse lots of things, but we should leave people. Most things, when they're abused, are self-correcting. So what my bill would propose is the plant be regulated like tomatoes, jalapenos, or coffee. Now, tomatoes are benign, but you can't eat too much of them, like anything. Yeah, jalapenos are not so benign. I don't know that you'd want to give them to your children, except in little teensy bits and carefully. Coffee, I have not given to my children until they were, up in their teens, and then I want it to be done with moderation. It can be very addictive. You'd have to take a lot of coffee to die from caffeine, but there are pills that people have taken and that have caused death, but I don't know of any instance where marijuana has caused death.
Let me play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Because I'm sure you're going to get a lot of questions like this. What about the health implications? Those who say if we legalize marijuana, if we allow people to smoke marijuana inside their own homes, it's going to make them stupid. There are going to be health side effects to that, and it's possibly a gateway drug to other drug abuses. What would be your answer to that?
I think those are large fears that people have, but I think they've been based on really misrepresentations. I know of a gentleman who married a woman that had been smoking marijuana, and he said, well, we're not going to have that in our home, and stopped. And from that point on, she started having seizures. And so now she's taking all these pharmaceutical drugs with all these side effects and at great expense, and she's having problems. I really, drugs are readily available in the black market right now, and I think this would allow parents to be really involved more with their children and teach them, like with coffee or tea or with water or anything, that we respect it and know that it could harm us if we don't treat it right. I think as conservatives, oftentimes we see the economic arguments for not letting government get involved in our lives. But really we need to see that the government shouldn't be doing the job of parents. And yes, we need to raise our children responsibly, but that's not the government's job. And sure, children can go astray, but right now the present approach is not working, and most of our children in our homes that go to public schools could find most any drug in probably at about 15 minutes.
We are visiting with State Representative David Simpson, who has filed a bill that would remove the prohibition on marijuana. You said that, the folks back in your district that you've talked to, that they've been pretty open about this, that, you even heard from some who fully embrace this. What about some of your colleagues down in Austin, some of the other Republican lawmakers? There was discussion, I know, about medical marijuana. The speaker sort of sidestepped that, said that, that might be a debate, but it's something the Republican Party has not embraced, as you know. What have your colleagues in Austin actually said about this?
Well, the governor said he wanted to expand liberty in Texas, and he started with open carry. Why? I would hope he would consider, identifying the innate goodness of everything God's made and allowing those plants to be used for God's glory and the good of your neighbor. So we'll find out today. I mean, this just hit the news last night. And no one's emailed you yet. I'm surprised no one's talked to you yet about this. Well, I've talked to a good number of people, and a lot of people just have told me privately before I filed the bill they support the repeal of marijuana prohibition. But we need the courage to do the right thing. We need the knowledge to do the right thing. And I think most of the hesitation here is based on fear and misrepresentation. I do not advocate smoking, period. But I don't think I should ban smoking. I don't advocate getting drunk. But I don't want to ban alcohol. I don't advocate being a sluggard. But I'm not going to ban being tired.
Right.
Or sleep. I think we need to have a new approach to dealing with abusive drugs and even gluttony. I mean, that's a problem too. But big government programs are not the fix. It's self-control, it's grace, it's virtue, it's loving, voluntary engagement with one's neighbor that's going to help these people, not throwing them in prison.
Representative Simpson, I have a caller on the line who wants to ask you a question about this. If you have time, we can go ahead and take this caller. Danny, you are on with State Representative David Simpson.
I appreciate it, Chad. I'll just make it really quick. There are a lot of legal arguments that can be made to support the legalization of marijuana or whatever, but I really think it's appropriate to stay away from trying to make a Christian argument against to legalize it, because no such argument can be made. It's not a practical or logical argument. You can throw out a whole bunch of Bible verses, but then again, you can also throw out a bunch of Bible verses to against it, saying, do not be drunk with wine. It's not saying because of what it is. It's saying because of what it does, how it affects you. If it alters your mind, it leads to debauchery. That let's just stay away from the Christian argument and just stay with the legalistic argument. I'm all in support of getting rid of the criminality of marijuana, but let's not try to make a Christian argument to do so. Let's just keep it a legal argument, because the Christian argument is just senseless and actually kind of false.
All right, Danny, thanks for the call. Representative Simpson, what would be your response to that? Because I'll be on. I posted your opinion piece from the Texas Tribune on Facebook yesterday. There was a lot of feedback from folks who weren't so comfortable with the Christian argument of this. What do you say to that argument?
Well, first of all, I think all Christians would recognize that everything God made is good. In fact, He makes it very clear in Genesis 1, verses 11 and 12, and then 29 and 30, and each time says that it's good and very good, the seed and all the herbs, all the plants. And so the problem is not the substance, it's not the plant. The problem is the action. It's the irresponsible use of what God's made. And you don't find that I see in the Scripture banning of plants. You do see condemnation of excessive drinking, but you don't see banning of alcohol. In fact, it says in Psalm 104 that God made wine to make the face of man glad. And in 1 Timothy 4:4, it says that everything God made is good and is to be received if it can be done in faith and with thanksgiving. I'm paraphrasing a little bit there. But the point is government's role should be to punish the wrongdoer who harms his neighbor. We don't want the government coming in to our churches or to our homes to where we're not harming someone. Sure, we may be worshiping wrongly. We may not be doing this or that right with our spouse or with our children, but unless we're harming people physically and other ways, the government really shouldn't be involved. And even then, if it can be rectified, we shouldn't have to resort to force.
Representative David Simpson, I appreciate your time today. We're coming up against a break. I think it's a pretty brave bill that you're putting out there, one that is worthy of debate in the state. I don't know how many Republicans are ready for the debate, but I do think it's one that should be debated down in Austin, and we'll keep in touch, and we'll keep up with what's happening as far as this debate goes.
Well, thank you, Chad. Keep using that First Amendment. I think one thing we can agree upon is the present war on drug has failed, and so I welcome the discussion. Thanks for calling.
All right, appreciate your time. That's State Representative David Simpson here on the Chad Hasty Show.